Hi, Elizabeth Dankoski here again, founder of the Dream School Project. I had a really wonderful question come in from a parent last week about how does a student who's just entering ninth grade, how do they really stand out on the admissions process, and what can they do to start laying that foundation from the very beginning of high school? And this is what I always say. It's all about authentic and innovative leadership. So that doesn't mean that the student needs to go and try to become, part of a class presidency or a captain of a certain team or head up or start a club necessarily. Those are all fine things to do. But what's more important is that students begin to ask themselves, what can I make even better? How can I make a difference? What lights me up? And what problems do I want to solve? And how can I build a bridge between those two things? Because that is truly innovative leadership. A few years ago, I worked with a student who was, he came to me in junior year and was really lost. He would just come home and play video games every day and didn't really know what he wanted to do. And I ended up asking him, so, what are you interested in? He wasn't really sure. So finally I asked him, okay, well, so what is, if you look around you, what's bothering you? What is something that really troubles you that you wish you could change? And immediately he said, I just can't stand the way all of us only talk about college admissions. We only ever talk about grades and test scores. We never talk about anything else. We don't have any fun. I said, wow, okay, well, what could you do about that? And I introduced him to the concept of Humans of New York. Some of you might know that this is a photographer in New York City who goes around and takes pictures of people in the streets and asks them really interesting questions about their lives. And he has followings of millions of people who love to see the stories of people just walking by you on the subway or on the street. And it's really become quite a phenomenon. He's traveled all over the world now. I think he's actually in Spain at this moment. But I shared this with this student, and he was so interested, and he thought, oh, wow, this is what we need at the school. We really need to understand each other in ways that we never could imagine or guess. So he went on to do a Humans of New York type project, and he would go around and interview students, and he ended up putting it together in an end of year montage for a school celebration, ended up getting a standing ovation. He loved it. And it made a huge difference for him in his applications. He went on to study design, and he's now at a really strong program at Northeastern where the acceptance rate was about 20% when he applied. And he's at a really strong business program there, also studying design. And he said to me by the end of the project, he said when we were about to work on essays, he said, you know what? I used to be someone who just cared about pleasing others and trying to get my parents not to be upset with me. And now I wake up every morning asking myself how I can respect myself. And I thought that was such a beautiful example of the side effect of this kind of work, that when students begin to see themselves as change makers, as having the opportunity to really make a difference in the lives of others, and not just to go through the motions of, oh, I'm captain of this, or I do well in my grades here, or I don't do well, but really seeing themselves as having the ability to make an impact, that's where true leadership is. So it all comes from these two questions that I always ask my students. What lights you up, and what problems do you want to solve? And sometimes it's as simple as, what's driving you crazy? What's bugging you? What do you wish you could make better? And students almost always have thoughts about what they could make better, whether it's in their school or family or their community or whatever. So that's where I would begin, is really thinking about how helping your student see himself as a change maker, helping her see herself as someone who can make a difference, and really developing that to the highest level. And then that's where those essays come in, where they can talk about what they've been developing all the way through from the beginning of high school. So that's all we've got for today. Please feel free to send more questions. I love answering them for you, and they're really important and help us all get clarity around how we can really navigate and help our students thrive in the admissions process. Bye for now. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.